And so,
This morning?
yes, so
Wow.
everything starts at 10. But you were going to finish with the Ignite and go from there. So I'm excited.
All right. Holland, how many are we expecting?
I have 7 participants. So we shall see if they make it onto the Zoom.
Okay. All right. We'll just wait a minute then.
Okay, sorry about that. Oh, here's
No, it's not. It isn't you. It's Monday morning. Have they started demoing the office yet?
Yes and no. They keep coming in with different people, but then they keep changing the date.
Oh.
So.
Hi, you guys. Good morning, everybody. We're just waiting a few minutes. Holland's expecting a couple more people to log in. Hi, Yolanda. How are you? Nice to see you.
Hi, Michelle. How are you?
Awesome. Awesome. All good.
Happy New Year. Hey, Michelle, are you having, when is your the virtual vision party? When is that happening? Is that tomorrow?
The 12th.
It is the 12th. Okay,
Yeah.
is there
Is
a
that
link
tomorrow?
that I need to sign up on?
No, that
That's
is tomorrow. Whoa. It is tomorrow. Yeah, 4 o'clock. Yeah.
At 4 o'clock. Okay, is there a link or something?
Yes, it'll be on that calendar that Holland sends out every morning. Do you get that?
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be on there.
Okay. Great.
We were kind of waiting a couple minutes to see if everyone that had registered was going to show up, but I don't want to wait too long and waste your time. So I'll just kind of start by just letting you guys know, if you don't know me, I have a team of 6 agents at KW. We've been at KW for 14 years. And this is my 42nd year in the business. I started 42 years ago in Dallas, Texas, in commercial real estate and property management. I moved to South Bay, LA 28 years ago and worked for the 3rd largest commercial multifamily firm in the United States for about probably 8 or 9 years. And then I left and came to KW. I was actually, at that point in time, I had the company that I worked for, the commercial company that I worked for, was a huge multifamily management company as well. So my territory, we were based out of Seattle, but I was here. I live in Redondo Beach and our offices are in Century City, and I would commute, but my territory was from Oxnard to Tehachapi, down to Victorville, Hesperia, over through North Orange County, and then back up the coast. I had 15,000 units that we managed, most of those multifamily. The largest property was 480 units in Simi Valley. The smallest was 28 units in Orange. And then about 10% of the portfolio was mid-rise office, union banks, single, there were freestanding buildings or small retail. So we didn't do any large industrial or warehouse stuff like that. So my expertise is really multifamily, and I do still have a management company separate from Keller Williams that in case you have clients who want to buy or sell multifamily or need property management, we do pay referral fees on those. So, and we are registered with the Department of Real Estate. We have our own broker, we have our own E&O insurance, and we pay referral fees. So moving forward with that, I joined KW 16 years ago thinking that I was going to downsize my business. Those 15,000 units that I managed, I actually managed the clients who owned the buildings. Some of those were doctors who owned a 220 unit property in Pomona. Some of those were companies that manage pension funds and things, and they had 14 or 15 different properties with me, some in Simi Valley, some in Claremont, Fontana, Pomona areas. And so I managed the clients. There were 5 people who actually supervised the properties, and they reported to me because the properties those size usually have on-site management staff and things. And so, so I was traveling a lot. I have been single for 20 something years, and all 3 kids too one was out of college, one was about to be out of college, and one was about to go to college. And I met a guy, who was from Texas and living here, looking for a place to live. So I decided that I didn't want to travel as much, and I was going to downsize my business. And then once I did that, I realized that I'm not cut out for that. And I was cut out for him. We married. We're still married, which is great for me. But I just working as an agent, I started to build a team, and KW reintroduced the commercial side and started KW Commercial. So we started building the team. We have KW Commercial agents, and we have luxury agents, and we have buyers agents. And we have a team in Nashville, Tennessee, and we have a team. I had a team in Dallas that was my sister's team. She's much younger than me, but unfortunately didn't know she had colon cancer, and she passed away a couple of years ago. So we're kind of rebuilding that team right now. So we're connected throughout most of the major cities, and have 42 years of experience in the business. So here we go. Today, I think the materials that Holland sent to me are to talk about dealing with sellers and how to make a listing presentation. And so I'm going to start with that. I want you to know that that I'm very casual and very hands-on. So, and I talk too fast because I'm from Texas. So if I say something that you have a question about or want more explanation on, feel free to unmute yourself and interrupt me. I'm the oldest of 6 brothers and sisters, and I have 6 children, 3 that I gave birth to and 3 that were stepchildren from marriages, and 7 grandchildren. So we're used to talking over the top of each other. So just feel free to butt in anytime, okay? So I don't know, they asked me to remind you that if you haven't already set up your profile in Command, to do that, because as we move through this, I'm going to speak to you about what the criteria says from Ignite, but then I'll also kind of highlight how we've had to tweak and adjust some of this because COVID's made it a little different on how we do our presentations. So, but I was asked to remind you to set up your profile in Command if you've not already done so. I will tell you that from the time that Command started until now, it's become much more efficient. It was a little encumbersome at first, but for the first 7 or 8 years of my business here, we used Top Producer, which was horrible to understand, and the flyers and the collateral materials and things that were in there were old and dated and boring. With the team that we have at Keller Williams that has put together our campaigns and our flyers and our emails and our templates, we have amazing creative stuff that you're going to want to take advantage of. Because back to setting up your profile in Command, in the beginning, 16 years ago when I joined KW, I did not know a lot about residential real estate. I came from a commercial background. I just dove in and immersed to learn all I could immediately, other than houses that we had purchased ourselves or flipped. I didn't know a lot about how to build a residential business. And so I dove into everything that KW had, and most especially the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, the MREA book. And in that book, Tony DeCello, who's married to Diane Kokoska, he's very scientific mind, not like your typical realtor. We're all pretty much creatives with high D personalities, type A's. Tony's more of a accounting background. He analyzes everything. And the first year in the business, he was not married to Diana at that time. In the first year in the business, he realized that the first year that he made $1 million, he realized that he had 1,100, almost 1,200 people. I think it's 1,195 people in his database. And that 10% of your business every year should come from those people. Those are people that you know or have met or that are serious core influencers of your life. And you should have their home address or email address and their phone number so that you can touch them 36 times a year. And Command makes it easy to do that. And we'll tell you of those 36 times, 8 of those should be a phone call. How are you doing? How is COVID affecting your life? How's the new baby? Whatever your conversation is to stay in relationship. But we are also using it now to send out listing presentations and information to our clients about what's happening in the industry, because they don't know there are, changes to the way that we do business and changes to how they should buy or sell properties with the pandemic going on. And it's especially significant in Los Angeles right now. I was on a coaching call the other morning with agents. It's I belong to the One Thing, which was part of Keller Williams coaching, and we have a call every week. And I was on that call with agents from all over the United States and some in Canada that were talking about leveraging their open houses and meeting people and what to bring to an open house and all of that stuff. And I was typing in the chat box, I remember the day. I remember the day when we could go to a restaurant and when we could get a haircut, but we can't do that in Los Angeles. So we're having to adapt. And there were 2 other people on that coaching call that live in the LA basin that responded the same way. So diving in right now, I'm looking at my notes of what I'm supposed to say because I get carried away with what I want to say. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. But before the appointment, and then you have the listing appointment, your daily success habits and what sellers want, and your listing presentation. So we're going to go through that real quick with what sellers want. Sellers want somebody that they know, like, and trust. And I know you've heard that a million times, but it's still relevant. It's very relevant. And that's why it's important for us to stay in close contact with them. Zoom calls help, Facebook calls help, FaceTime calls help, where they can see your face, see your eyes, and know you're authentic and you're sincere and that you care about them, right? And when I first started residential training, there was a gentleman that taught at the Association of Realtors who said, when you go into a listing appointment and you sit down with the sellers at the table, you start the conversation with, 3 things are going to happen here tonight. I'm going to tell you what I can do for you. I'm going to tell you how I can do it. And then we're going to decide if I can work for you or not. Those 3 things are going to happen. Well, nothing will shut down somebody faster than that, because it's not sincere and it sounds very programmed and it doesn't sound like you care, right? So, and most especially now, because the one thing that you need to know is why they're moving. That's all you need. That's the most important thing you need to know, because how you're going to structure your listing conversation and how you're going to structure your listing presentation is all based on why they're moving and what their specific needs are for that. So a couple of examples, current examples, people are moving to get out of Los Angeles. They're tired of the politics. They're tired of the schools. They're working from home. They don't have to live near work anymore. They're getting out. These are the people that we're talking to right now. They're selling their house to get out to more open spaces, to get the kids into different school systems. There's another seller that we're talking to outside of Los Angeles, like couples that just bought 2 of the listings that we have in South Redondo near the beach. They are retired and they live near Big Bear, or they live out in Riverside, and they're buying condos at the beach because they want the fresh ocean air and they want to be closer to services, medical facilities and things like that they don't have out there. So as many people that are going out there for their reasons, there's people out there that are coming in here for their own reasons. And so unless you know what the seller's reason is, you're going to be presenting a vanilla kind of listing presentation that talks all about how great you are and how great your marketing is. All that information is in your listing presentation. You do not have that conversation with them. When you're talking to them, it's all about them, right? Just like with buyers. So you need to know why they're moving, and you need to know when they want to move, and then you need to know what their lifestyle change is. Some of our people who are moving locally, who are selling, they're selling their homes because their floor plan isn't working for their current lifestyle. They may be even staying in the South Bay, and they need more private spaces. They don't want huge great rooms anymore. They want a room that they can set up as an office and a fitness center. They want a room they can set up as a study lab for the kids. They want more privacy, but they need more space so that they can spread out a little bit because the family's together all the time. And I don't really think most people predict that that's going to change anytime soon. So back to my original statement with that is you need to know, and feel free to email me or text me when this is over. I have checklists I can send you that might help if you don't already have one. There's good ones in Command, there's good ones in KW Connect, but we have a really good one that an agent who lives in Texas actually wrote. She's a mega agent, has a great team. It's a checklist for buyers and sellers. Did you ask this question? Did you ask this question? And each, the one for the sellers is 2 pages. So it's a lot of information, and you can read it frequently so that when you are talking to the seller, you're moving the conversation along at their pace, and you're asking your questions based on what they just said. So you're not going by the questionnaire so that you sound like a robot checking off the boxes, right? But you do want to make sure that you hit all those points with them, but do it in the flow of the conversation of the information that they're giving to you. So what sellers say they want and how that affects your conversations with them. So I'm looking at my notes. We just talked about that. Before the appointment, the best listing appointments are continuing from ongoing conversation. So I think we just covered that in detail too, so that you know when you get to see them in person, your first conversation with them is probably going to be a phone call. And those are the best ones to have, right? So, and Command can help you with that, generate the phone call. We got the best phone call to get last month. A lady called me and said, "My name is Marianne. I live in Riverside. I have a condo in Redondo Beach, and I want you to sell it." I did some research. I get your emails. How she got on our list, I don't know. But sometimes we pull owners of properties in certain buildings where we sell, and we start marketing to them, either through Command or through Facebook or just through my email, that we've sold 2 units in your building in the last 6 months. If you decide to sell, we have buyers. So as I got through the relationship with her, I did learn that that's how she learned about us, is through that. We wrote letters to everybody who lives in one certain complex over there because we did sell 2 units in the last 6 months over there. But I didn't ask that right up front, right? It's just so nice to pick up a phone and have somebody say, "Hi, you don't know me, but I need you to sell my property." And we call that the come list me call. That's a great one. But there's a contact that was made with them initially that established some kind of credibility. And you have that credibility, regardless of how long you've been in the business or how long you've been at KW or what your business background is. You have what they're looking for. You have experience in business. You have experience in relationships and the real estate market locally. So I want to make sure I don't miss any of my points. So the best listing appointments are continuations of the ongoing conversations, and your future seller will get the most out of the listing appointment that you have in person with them. Sometimes that listing presentation is in person at their property. Sometimes it's in Zoom. A lot of times that's going to depend on the age of your client. Elderly people are more reluctant right now to have you come into their home. But we offer 3 scenarios to them. And we offer Zoom. We offer coming in person with masks and gloves and sanitizers and staying outside or 6 feet away or in another room. And we offer like a Facebook tour, you know, where we can get on FaceTime and they can walk us through their house and we're on FaceTime together. So again, that's about knowing your seller and what their expectations are, because elderly people aren't usually familiar with all that technology, but they're reluctant to have you come in. So if you offer to come in gear and stand on the front porch and have a conversation with them, eventually they'll get comfortable and they'll see that you're in gloves and masks and shields and sanitized, and they'll ask you to come in and walk through. And they may go in the backyard while you do it, but it's about building that trust with them. And you can't build that trust with them unless you're actually diving into what they need and how to get there. Do you guys have, and you can just nod your head or raise your hand, do you have a listing presentation put together already? Anybody?
No, I
Okay.
don't have one put together, but these are really great tips that you're sharing on how to do that as far as with COVID, the pivot of what that looks like. And I
Mhm.
like the fact that you shared have options and be thinking about your seller as far as, you know, what they need. And if they are a little bit older, right, the technology thing, they may not feel comfortable or even know how to do it, but give them some options. So it's
Right.
good. Yeah.
That's exactly right. And have confidence, you know, do that. I don't know in Ignite right now if you guys have accountability partners that you work with, where you can walk through your own home on a Facebook with somebody so that you get familiar with how the phone works and how to turn it around, so that you have the confidence when you're actually working with a real seller to know what you're doing. So, you know, call your sister, call your best friend, call your mother, call somebody and say, I'm going to walk you through my house. I just want to make sure I know how to use this phone so I can instruct a seller on what to do when they're showing me their house, right? So, because eventually you want to get there in person, and you won't always. I have a client that lives in China that can't come here. And so we're doing everything electronically. So, so your listing presentation, there's two or three actually that are already prepared for you. They're PowerPoint presentations. One of them is in Command. There's one or two of them in Command. I know there's one as well in, it's on the KW website. It's in the, what's it called? The educational part. When you check into your KW website, it's on the MAPS coaching page. There's a listing agreement in there. I mean, a listing presentation in there. We have two. We have one that's a pre-listing agreement that talks about, we call it our commercial. It talks about how wonderful we are. It talks about how we market their home. And these the ones that KW has already put together for you in Command and on the KW website have 3 or 4 marketing pages in there that show specifically where all the links are. Once you put their listing into the multiple listing service, where there's like 40 places that it links to. And so we sometimes just send that as an email or as an introduction without even knowing. And that's what we sent to this lady who was one of the owners in this condo community, so that they can see how aggressive our marketing is. And then we have 2 or 3 pages of testimonials in there. And if you don't have any clients that you've closed yet, get testimonials about your tenacity and about your aggressiveness and about your loyalty. You can get testimonials from friends and family and neighbors, and you don't have to have sold them a home. They can word it so that they're giving a testimonial about how you support people and how you get involved with the relationship and how you don't let anyone down. So it doesn't have to be about your real estate career, but that helps build their confidence too, that somebody's giving you the testimonial. Let me go to this next page. Okay, we already, this one is about how sellers found their agent. And there's a graphic, I think you guys probably have that in your PowerPoint, that shows that 38 of the sellers either knew their agent or were referred to their agent by a friend or a neighbor. And I want to speak to that because when I was on the One Thing coaching the other morning, Shashelle, who is this mega agent in Texas, said that there's an NAR statistic, and this is where command's going to come in to you. Most sellers know 6 agents. They may not know them well, they may not be interviewing them, but they know 6 real estate agents that when they need to sell, they can call and talk to that person. So if you're the one that's touching them 36 times a year, which is 3 times a month, either with an email or a text or a phone call, or even just, a Facebook tag. Facebook, if you don't use it, you need to use it while we still can. And it's a great way to reach out to somebody. If you can find them on Facebook and then private message them with a, hey, you don't know me, but I just sold a house on your street. And there were 5 or 6 buyers who missed out on the opportunity because there's multiple offers. And if you know anyone who wants to sell, here's our credentials attached, and we put our pre-listing agreement in. Please call me. It's very not face-to-face. It's a kind of a warm touch, but it's right there on Facebook, and it's easy to make that connection with them. And then they can see you and they can connect to your page and they can decide if they want to work with you or not, right? Based on what they see on your Facebook page, because not everybody wants to work with me. There are people that still think redheads are witches and should be burned at the stake. And there are people who see that I enjoy wine tasting and have a wine collection and they may not drink. And there are people who, we all have a different tribe, so to speak. And so if they can touch your Facebook page and see you have a business page attached to that too, it helps them get acquainted with you without feeling like you're going to start stalking them and you're going to start knocking on their door every day. It helps them silently kind of interview you and see what you're about, right? So I would incorporate that to remembering what Seychelle said, that the NAR statistic is that everybody knows 6 agents, and the 1 or 2 that they're going to reach out to are the 1 or 2 that have credibility with them and that they know more about. 7% of the buyers have used their listing agent previously. 5% chose the realtor after being personally contacted by the realtor. 4% found the agent through a website. The other 22% is made up of different methods, which here says for sale signs and open houses and stuff. And we all know we don't have that anymore. So for the last 10 months, we've been working with, we have 2 coaches. We have our One Thing coach, and then we have our business coach. And we've really worked diligently with them, trying to figure out how to replace we leveraged our open houses to the max. That's how we met people. That's how we met sellers. That's how we met buyers. We throw huge open houses and make sure that we had lots of people coming through there on Saturdays and Sundays and broker tours and stuff like that. And we don't have that anymore. So we had to completely kind of refigure how we touch people. And that's why the social media is so important, and command is going to be so important. So make sure if you're not in productivity coaching with Sonia that you get with her, figure out how to get that set up and get your contacts in there so that 10% of your business this year is going to come from your database. So if you and I'm a little overwhelmed right now because I have 3,000 people in my database, but I've been in the business for 42 years. And some of those people I just imported from my phone, so it's only phone numbers. And, that was a mistake. And so we're having to kind of go back and clean that up. But if you have 200 people in your database and 10% of them are going to send you business this year, that's 20 escrows. That's a lot. So even if 5%, if you could do 1 a month, I'm bigger than that in my mind, I'm bigger than that. But 20 escrows a year is a nice living. And even 10 will keep you very comfortable. And then you grow on that. So knowing that touching people in your database, and I'm guilty as charged, I haven't done it the way that I should, and I'm making it more personal, and I'm going through personally and looking at each person in there. And if I don't know them, if I don't know them and all I have is a phone number, I have a lot of people in my database, probably more than 1,000, that came in through other things that the team has done when other members were on our team that have left our team and maybe even left Keller Williams in the last 6 years. And it's their contact. It's not mine. I don't even know these people. They may have registered at an open house or something like that. So I'll send one last email, just haven't talked to you in a while. And if you have any interest in what's happening in real estate, let me know. And then if I don't hear back from them, we're archiving them, because really I want to work with 300 to 400 people that I have relationships with, who know us, and I can touch them 36 times a year. So I'm dwindling that 3,000 down. So start somewhere. Get 100. That'll be 10 deals. That'll be awesome. There is an NAR statistics that says that 75% of the people who are selling actually only interview one agent. So I don't know about in the South Bay, because we have more than 6,000 real estate agents in the South Bay. I served on the board of directors for the Association of Realtors for 10 years. And I was president-elect for 1 year and president 1 year. And so I know that the South Bay Association of Realtors has more than 4,000 members. Now remember, only 20% of those are probably working, and only 20% of those are probably actually doing the deals. But there are 4,000 realtors, more than 4,000 realtors in the South Bay Association of Realtors. Palos Verdes Association of Realtors has 11 or 1,200, and Inglewood has around 700 or 800. So that's 6,000 real estate agents. I don't know if we have that many attorneys in the South Bay, but that's a lot of agents, and you can't be obscure. You can't be a secret agent, and you don't need to be. There's an agent in a state. Her name is Kathy something. I forgot her last name, but again, Seychelle was talking about this the other morning. People have a sign on their door that says no soliciting, no realtors, no Girl Scouts, no soliciting, no scouts, no something, and no realtors. And underneath that it says, and this means you, Kathy, whatever her last name is. But it's because she calls so many people all the time, and she was busy door knocking all the time. And so people know her name. And you don't want to be offensive and have them know your name like that, but you want people to know who you are. And so so make sure that you're doing your social media marketing. And there's another guy that we talked to, and he has a 5 rule of 5. So every day he does 5 things. He meets 5 new people on Facebook, and he'll look those up, go into the MLS, look at expireds in your neighborhood. When you click on that expired listing, go to the realist and find that owner's name and see if they're on Facebook. And say, I saw that your listing expired. If you have interest in selling in the future, please contact me. Just that simple. So he has 5 things he does every day. He does Facebook, LinkedIn, email, texting. There was one more, I'll think of it. But on each of those 5 things, he does 5 things. So he texts 5 people every day. He calls 5 people every day. That was it, calling people. He calls 5 people every day, texts 5 people every day, emails 5 people every day, touches 5 new friends on Facebook every day, and then posts either on LinkedIn or Facebook. They say that on your own page on Facebook, you should post 3 to 4 personal things a day and 1 business thing. So we set up a business page that's attached to our personal pages, but you don't want to overwhelm people with all the business stuff. You want them to get to know you personally. Okay. Anybody have questions about that, or you want to make comments about that? The next PowerPoint slide is what sellers want. And this shows they want help marketing their home. They want to sell their home in a specific time frame. They want to price it competitively. They want help to fix it up, and they want you to find a buyer. And it doesn't talk about on here like they want help with the paperwork and inspections. But here's our experience with that. They don't ask for help with the paperwork or inspections because they don't know. They have no idea when they're selling the home what the extent of the paperwork is. So a personal note on this, when we start getting into conversations with them, whether it's text or on social media, the first thing we do is send our pre-listing package to talk about how wonderful we are. And it has our marketing. Again, you guys can text or email me and I'll send you pages that we added because we built our listing presentation and our pre-listing presentation. We built off of the KW presentations, and it is PowerPoint, so you can add pages in there, because the most important thing right now is that they need to know that you are COVID compliant. That's the most important thing on people's minds. So whether the MLS links you to Google and to realtor.com and to all those other 40 pages that pretty page speaks volumes to, the most important thing is that their safety comes first. And they don't, and even before COVID, a lot of our elderly or high-end clients were getting to where they didn't want open houses and they didn't want a sign in the yard, and they wanted their property shown by appointment only, and they wanted one of us there. They didn't want a strange realtor showing up with a buyer and not have their agent there. That was starting even before COVID, because especially the elderly females feel a little bit vulnerable. And they may have jewelry in the house, they have passports, they have prescription medication, they have expensive art. And there are people who used to come to open houses who were casing homes. And I have a friend that did not hire us to sell her house. She's a plastic surgeon, and she's been my friend for like 12 years. She hired another realtor because the realtor is a client of hers, goes to her for Botox and all that stuff, and I don't do that yet, knock on wood. She had $45,000 worth of jewelry stolen out of her safe the first open house that the agent she hired did for her. And she called me and she said, I've canceled my listing. This is back when Shorewood was in business. I've canceled my listing with Shorewood. I have $45,000 worth of diamonds stolen out of the safe in the floor of my closet in my bedroom. And I said, this is not Shorewood's fault. You know, this two things. One is the agent never should have put in the MLS that there was a floor safe in the house, right? That's kind of a bonus after you buy the house. Oh, by the way, here's a safe, right? But you don't put that in the MLS. You don't let people know that it's there. And you live on 2 acres with a bridle path that opens out to the public bridle paths. You have a 6 stall barn, and you have an arena. One agent with an open house walking out there to the pool house and the barn and the bridle path. Who knows who walked into your house? And if they saw from MLS or ads on Zillow that there was a safe in the house, people come in and distract the agent and get them out there showing the back 40, and somebody else comes in and finds the safe, plays with it for a little bit, figures out how to bust into it. It's not hard to get into those safes. And then they come back the next day and they steal the diamonds. So all that was already building up to where our clients were not wanting strangers into their house. So now our first introduction piece to our marketing says your safety comes first. And we set up sanitation stations, and everybody has the masks, and no one can come see your house until they're pre-qualified. I'm happy to send that to you if you guys want to plagiarize it and make it your own. My email, Michele Brown, Michele has 1 L. So it's Michele Brown @kw.com. And my cell phone is 310-944-5188. So either text or email me and ask me what you want. I'll send it to you. What I was going to say, this list on this slide that you're looking at that talks about what sellers want, and it talks about marketing the home in a specific time frame and to price it competitively. And this part's key, help to fix it up. You know, we have programs now. And you can ask Sonia about those too. There are companies who will, if there's equity in the home, they will come in and help paint the front or plant a few flowers or replace the stove. They will help make repairs and the homeowner can pay them out of escrow. So if there's somebody, especially the elderly, especially if there's deferred maintenance, they're overwhelmed by the thought of preparing a house for sale. They don't have the money or the time to do it, and they can get more money by doing it. There are 2 or 3 companies. We have one specifically that our office works with that will come in, get the work done. They put a mechanic's lien on the escrow. They put a demand letter in, and they get paid out of escrow. So that's huge to be able to sell that. This is Sotheby's has a program like that, and Berkshire Hathaway has a program like that, and Compass has a program. They call it their concierge program, and we have one too. So that can be a very competitive edge if somebody doesn't have the time or the money or the energy to do it. You have a resource for them, and they can pay them out of escrow. So find out more about that too, because you're not going to want that. You do want that in your pre-listing, but you just want a blurb. If you need help making your home, preparing your home for sale, we have an affiliate who can do that for you, and you pay them when you sell the house. But the other thing I want to talk about that's not on this list, other than at the bottom to say other, after you help find the buyer, it says other. That's the paperwork and the inspections. And they don't know to ask for your help with that because they don't really know what it is. So after you get through the pre-listing period with them, and you're talking about actually walking through the house, whether it's in person or on Zoom or on FaceTime, and you're sending them more solid information about, we create a specific marketing plan for that property. We gave them the generic one in our pre-listing agreement. But when we actually get to where we're making a listing presentation, that presentation has a very specific timeline in there as to what we're going to do to market their house. We're going to do a virtual tour. We're going to do a virtual open house. Before those 2 things, we have the photographers come in. They are COVID compliant. We will be there to make sure they don't touch anything and that we sanitize after, we vacuum, we spray, we have cleaners. We don't use anything that's going to damage your porcelain or your granite countertops. We have a very specific marketing plan for that client, for their house. And in that presentation, that listing presentation is where I always include a copy of the listing agreement so that they can read through it with their spouse, their parent, their financial planner, whoever, and highlight if they have questions when it comes. Always assume they're going to be signing it, assume the close. And before we meet and before I put this in DocuSign for you, or before I put this in for electronic signature, I want you to be able to read through it, highlight anything you don't understand so that we can talk about it and I can answer your questions. And the good news about this, especially if you're new to the business, is as of March of last year, we're all new. So there are things in the contract that recently were put in there that I don't know to the extent that I should. And so it's easy to say, you know, those contracts have changed through the pandemic. So let me talk to my broker and get you a specific answer on that because it's kind of new. So you have confidence in being able to say that rather than to say, I've never signed a listing agreement in my life and I don't have the answer to your question, but I'll find out. So you don't have to say that. What you can say with confidence is all of these contracts have changed in the last 6 months to be more compliant with the situation of the pandemic. So let me talk to my broker and get a specific answer. But back to the listing presentation itself, put a copy of the listing agreement in there. Invite them to read through it, highlight their questions before you put it in for electronic signature. Assume they're going to sign it. And you may not even have a price in there yet. Just put TBD, to be determined, if you haven't run your comps or you haven't settled on a price with them yet. So, but send them a copy of the listing agreement. More importantly, include a copy of a purchase agreement because they need to know at the time that they get ready to sell, if they even in the back of their mind are thinking about for sale by owner, or thinking about one of the discount agencies that do a 3% commission, those companies don't help them with that paperwork, right? Then they don't help them. They'll put it in the MLS. It's about all they do. So they need to know that you have provided them with what to expect and the contracts to expect. And that purchase agreement is 10 pages, and it has the buyer's inspection addendum, and it has the right to privacy addendum, and it has all of those addendums in there. That's a pretty thick document. And when they realize that that's what you're getting paid for, that's what you do when you work for them, then that's a whole different story, right? So make sure that that's part of your listing presentation. Questions about that, you guys? Okay, let me get to the next slide.
I do, Michelle. I do.
Yeah.
Michelle, I do have a question. Thank you so much. I do have a question about the actual the marketing of the property and that budget. Where does that come from? Is that something that we pay as far as making sure the home is marketed, to the pristine, or is that something where the seller pays, or it's both a combination? Okay, so can you answer that, please?
The company that helps them prepare for the sale?
Yeah,
what you're
so
asking?
we're going in, exactly. So I'm going in and saying that I'm helping you with marketing your property so that it will sell. And so these are the things that I'm going to do to market your property. And there's fees that go along with that. So those fees, is that something that I cover as an agent, or is that something that the seller covers, or is it a combination of both of us?
Yes. Basically, it is an agent expense. We pay for all the photography, and that's the beauty of joining a team sometimes, because the team pays for that. So we pay for all the photography. We pay for all of the Facebook ads. We pay for the sign in the yard if a sign goes up. Most people don't want signs these days because they don't want looky-loos. But we pay for the signs. We pay for any paid advertising. Of course, the MLS, each agent pays their own MLS fees, and that's free to put it in the MLS. But outside of that, sometimes, and I don't want to get ahead of you, but if it's a very expensive home, a $2, $3, $4 million property, especially now with COVID, one of the popular things is to do what looks like a movie trailer, a lifestyle a trailer like a commercial, and you have to be very careful not to have people in those. A lot of photographers don't know this. The photographers that do real estate photography, they use the Matterport to do the walkthrough tour, and then they take all the pictures of the house. Those real estate photographers do know that you cannot have people in the photography. If you're hiring someone to do like a reel-to-reel thing, like a movie trailer, a movie commercial, and they're showing the lifestyle, and that video you can't put in the MLS, because the things that go in the MLS have to be actual pictures of the property or things you can see from the property. You see a lot of times agents advertise a condo and then they'll show the Redondo Beach Pier. Well, you can't see that pier from the condo. So that's an illegal. You're not supposed to have that in the MLS. So we build a separate website, including the MLS. We build a website at propertiesonline.com, where we can add the amenities and the shopping features, and we still can't have pictures of people, because that could imply discrimination, right? If they look like they're of a particular religious organization, or if they look like they have a lot of children, or they don't have a lot of children, or it's color, or it's, and you can have a picture if you have everybody, one person from every culture, every tribe, every religion. Well, if you did that, you'd only see people in the picture. You wouldn't see. So we have no people in our advertising, right? Because we don't want to imply discrimination in our business. So in that case, to answer your question, in that case, sometimes on homes that are $2 million or up, that's a very expensive marketing campaign. And you don't want to spend that money and have a seller cancel on you, or decide that they're not going to. And so what I will often ask them is if they'll cover half or all of it When it sells, I'll cover the other half or all of it out of the escrow, or they can. I'll pay them back out of my commission, but I'm not going to spend $10,000 up front in a market that's unpredictable. But this is the best way to do it to get the attention that you need. So if it's a normal house in the South Bay, if it's something that's, $500,000 to 800,000, you're probably going to spend $2,000, $2,500 by the time you get the photography done, the flyers done. We do still have guys that will drop flyers. We don't have to door knock. There's a flyer company, 14 cents for each one, a minimum of 1,000. So, for $140, he drops 1,000 flyers for me on people's doors. So, and then there's the expense of printing the flyer. So, so we spend that, but we get a lot of leverage out of that because we're advertising ourselves, right? And so for that $1,500 to $2,500, it's hard for me to ask a seller to do it. And a lot of times a seller in that price point, they don't have the money to do it. And so we use it to, on the back of the flyer, we put a testimonial, or we put our COVID compliant list, or we put something that's advertising ourselves. The front of the flyer is all about their property. But if it's very expensive, it is common practice to ask the seller to help pay half or all of it, and leave that there for them to answer. And then depending on how they answer, then you can offer to help pay some of it back out of your commission later, because you're talking about a $75,000 commission. So, so again, it's all going to depend on your property. And if you're in coaching with Sonia, she can help you with all of that too. So the next slide is the process to listing. The pre-listing questionnaire, I told you that I would send you that. You can create your own from that. You schedule a listing appointment. You're going to send the pre-listing package. We also talked about sending that anyway as an attempt to even get time to talk to them. So even if it's 4 or 5 pages that just talks about how wonderful you are and shows our aggressive marketing and that you're COVID compliant, put something together that you can send to them, either in a Facebook message or in an email or something. So the pre-listing questionnaire, schedule a listing appointment, send the pre-listing package, create a listing presentation, and then you do the home walkthrough listing appointment. So that fourth step to create the listing presentation is the one that I said is more specific with what you plan to do to market their home. Okay, because if it's in El Segundo, if the home is in El Segundo, you want to let them know that you're specifically going to go to the hockey team and to the basketball team, to those HR departments, and make sure that they get flyers and know how to schedule appointments, and that you are confidential and you don't let all the neighbors know if there's a celebrity athlete or someone coming to see the house, because there'll be paparazzi everywhere and neighbors everywhere. So, and if it's not in El Segundo, if it's in Long Beach, we don't have a lot of celebrity athletes that live and work there as much as we have in the El Segundo area. So in Long Beach, you're going to want to find out who the major employers are there, and that you're going to market to them. So you're going to kind of customize it to each client. And then the home walkthrough listing appointment, when your client expresses interest in selling their home, the few steps you wanted to convert it to into an actual listing is that questionnaire and the pre-listing package. And again, when you walk through the home with them, and this is contrary to other training you're going to hear, other realtors sometimes in their training say, let me walk through as if I'm showing a buyer. You wait here in the kitchen, or you wait here in the living room. I'm going to walk through. And again, COVID compliance is going to come into this, but a lot of trainers train, I'm going to walk through and look at it with a buyer's eye, make some notes, ask some questions, and then we can go through it together. Well, that's a waste of time, in my opinion. It's better to have them with you. If you have the eye, keep in mind that you're the eye of the buyer, so you can ask questions about those stains on the ceiling, and you can ask questions about the stains in the carpet, or if the windows are new. So keep that in mind, that you are walking through with the eye of a buyer, but you want the seller with you so that they're telling you their love story, right? And you can manage that conversation to the extent that that you really don't need to know that they replaced all of those closet doors and the asbestos on the ceiling when they bought the house from grandma 45 years ago. You just need to know that it was done. So you need to be able to keep them in line so you're not there for 3 hours, right? It's not going to take 20 minutes. It's going to take 45 minutes, but a lot of sellers love to brag on their homes. And in the days that we were door knocking, you know, people that had no interest at all in selling their homes wanted us to come through and see all the wonderful things that they have done and have tea and hang out. So so just be prepared, have your checklist in your head and on your board of what you need to know, but don't go through twice. Go through with them with you, especially with the COVID compliant thing. If they'll walk with you, you want them with you, and you'll want their love story about the neighborhood. But one of the homes that we sold recently, the seller was the daughter who grew up in the house. Parents were living in assisted living in Missouri near their brother, and she had very strong connections. It's a very close family, and so we treated her as we would treat any seller, but she wasn't the seller. Her parents were, but we had to keep in mind what she was sensitive to, and help her pick contemporary colors. She wanted everything to kind of stay the same because it had brought all these memories. And so, you know, we had to kind of show her some, just paint will change everything. And she ended up painting everything, outside, the brick, everything. So again, that comes from the relationship and getting, you know, being sure you know them. I'm gonna get through these because we're out of time. I talk too much. You can't meet a seller's needs until you know them. We've already talked about that. And the different kinds of sellers that you're going to meet, the ones who are ready to go now, the ones who want to go in 60 days, and the ones who are just thinking about it. So you're going to manage each of those relationships differently. Your pre-listing goals are to state your value, pre-sell by building confidence and answering their questions, and then save time by answering some of their objections up front. I don't state my value first, as we've already discussed. Those three things, the pre-listing goals are stating your value, building the confidence by pre-selling, and then saving time by overcome. We reverse those step 1 and step 2. So the pre-selling about building confidence and answering their questions is we ask a lot of questions. We build their confidence by asking them a lot of questions. And what is your expectation of your realtor? And what are you afraid of? And what are you confident about? We do that first, and then we can state our value. Because to state my value first, I don't know what's important to them. And I can go on forever about our value. Until I know what their key points are, I don't want to state my value. So we pre-sell first, which is building their confidence and answering their questions. But you answer their questions by asking questions, right? Ask a lot of questions, be a good listener. And once you've pre-qualified them and you're going to send them your pre-listing package, again, sometimes we do that first just to even get them on the phone because we're not meeting them at open houses. And then this next slide talks about a guide to selling your home. Those guides are on the KW website, and I have some, if you want them, that came from one of the coaches that we used to coach with at Forward Coaching. I have all kinds of guides to selling your home. And there's a lot in Command, and there's a lot on the KW website. So let me see what slide we're on now. The listing presentation itself, we've already talked about that, how to customize that. Consider having yourself present a listing presentation. I've offered those to you. So you'll find the PowerPoint that you can make your own. You know, as I said, on Command or on the KW site, but I'm happy to send you ours so you can kind of see how we've tweaked it and customized it. And the next slide talks about your needs come first. And we've actually already kind of gone through that too, how right now their needs are, their safety comes first. And then how we market comes second. So you present the listing presentation. Again, that's customized. If you're new, this next slide says to role model how you're going to go over your listing presentation. We're supposed to do that here. And we're out of time because I talk so much, but in any event, when I first transitioned into residential real estate and we were working on our listing presentation, I always sent it to my children. They're all realtors now, but before they were in college. My sister, my fiance at the time, I always sent it to them because we speak realtor, we speak realtorese, we think in realtor language. And I think I've covered everything, but it may not be in a language that a consumer understands. And so I always ask somebody else to review it. And even on our team now, we like to do that just to look for typos or for things that were redundant. But I like to send it to someone outside the team that's not a realtor as well and have them look at it and see if it makes sense to them. Questions about that, you guys? No? Okay. Handling seller objections. There's a script book and direct participants to the elemental script book. I don't know if you guys have gotten that yet or not. Have they sent you your script book?
I did find a book with scripts in it in Command. I think it's in Command. So I was able to find that, and I just downloaded that.
Okay. So I would practice those. I would read those. I would memorize some of them and then make it your own, right? Because you don't want to sound over scripted. You don't want to sound like a robot. You want to sound like you know what you're talking about. But sometimes, especially if you're new, you're not sure what the objection is going to be or what, that comes up all the time. People surprise me with a question and I'm like, you know what, I don't know. I've never had that happen before. So let's talk about that and how we want it to look. And we just figure out the solution to it, right? But other times, if you anticipate, the two things I usually object to is the price. And then sometimes they'll ask about the commission. I don't have too many people ask about commission anymore because the most realtors are not discounting unless they're with a discount agency. They're not doing 4% and 5%. They're doing 6%. And we have a friends and family, what we call a friends and family plan for referrals, where we will do 5%. But usually they're trying to figure out why you priced their home the way you did, because they always think it's worth more than what it probably is. So, and right now they might be right. So we always pull the comps because there's so many multiple offers going on and people are paying outrageous amounts of money for properties. So it's a good time to sell and it's a good time to let them know that ordinarily I would recommend that we list this for somewhere around 550 or 600,000 or whatever your price point is. Ordinarily, I would recommend that we list this around 600,000. Right now, it's still a seller's market. There still are multiple buyers out there. That could change the minute a new administration takes office. We don't know, but your chances of getting more than what you ordinarily would for your house are right now. Right now, you got to list it right now, because it could change by February the 1st. That could change. It's unlikely. All of the lenders are saying, and all the economists are saying, they expect that there won't be a major change in interest rates on loans, but we just don't know what the climate's going to be with people moving and changing their lifestyles. We don't have a crystal ball. So right now is a good time to, the more money you make on your house, the more money I make working for you. So it's not that I don't want to list it for 700,000, but I want you to get as many potential buyers as you can and let them bid it up, because the purchase price of a home is like water settling. The buyers will tell you what your house is worth. And if we list it for $700,000 and you don't have any offers within 3 or 4 days, we've made a huge mistake. And if we have to come back then to 650, it looks like there's something wrong with the property. If we start at 650 and let's get a bidding war going, and you may sell it for more than 700,000, right? So those are the strategies that, and again, if you're in coaching with Sonia, she can help you figure that out when you're actually trying to talk to somebody about price points, right? I want to keep you guys overtime if you need to go. I know you need to. We're supposed to end at 11, right?
I think it's noon.
I think it's, yeah, 12 o'clock.
Oh, yay! Then I can slow
Yay.
down.
You have
Yay!
time.
Okay, so what is this next slide? The listing appointment is the time to show off all your hard work and get the listing. So you previewed the home, and that's probably through a FaceTime walkthrough or a Zoom walkthrough. And then you're going to present your listing presentation. And then you ask for the listing, which is your time to shine. So remember to update your opportunities in Command when you make the listing appointment. Use Command to help you track all your stuff. But I'm going to go back to this part where it said the listing appointment is the time to show off all your hard work and get the listing. Do you guys want a break? Does anybody need a break? If you do, just go.
Good.
I'll just keep talking. You just go. Okay, so the listing appointment is time to show off all your hard work and get the listing. Preview the home. You present your ideas for marketing, the listing presentation, and then you ask for the listing, right? So I don't ask for the listing. I assume all along that they're going to sign the listing agreement. What I do is I give them an either or. And then especially now with the pandemic, this takes me back to when I first went to college, I had a nursing degree and I worked in pediatric nursing. And the nurse that trained us with the little kids who have to get shots, and little kids hate shots. And you don't give them the option of whether they take the shot or not, but to make it easier for them, almost, and in pediatrics, that was usually like 4 and under that we had at the hospital where I worked. And almost every shot, unless it was a thick penicillin in those days, was given with an insulin needle because the babies, the little ones' skins are so delicate and pores are so tight. And an insulin needle is the smallest, finest, thinnest. It goes into quickly the muscle. So that's the tiniest, thinnest, little, bigger than a sewing needle. And then there's needles that never go into the skin that are used to flush out catheters or flush out IV bags. And they're huge. They look like a horse needle. So she would put a tray of these needles on a tray, and when she'd go into the room, then she'd say, "It's time for your shot. Which needle do you want me to use?" Right? So they didn't have the option. They just got to pick which one they wanted. Like the old days when it was like, "Yeah, let's get together on Tuesday. Is 11 or is 2 o'clock better for you?" I'm not that drilled down in my conversations anymore because I like to get more specific with people about what their needs are and what really is the best time of day for them. So I don't give them an either or on that kind of a thing. But with asking for the listing, I just assume we've gone through all of this, that they're going to list with me, right? And I have the listing presentation there, and I ask them, do you want to go through each page right now and sign this? Or would you like me to put it in DocuSign for electronic signature? And that's even more applies now because a lot of people don't want to touch paper and they don't want to shuffle paper back and forth between you and them. And when you did your pre-listing, if you sent it to them to review, like I suggested, you've already proven your capabilities of interpreting the contracts by answering their questions. And so I don't ask for the listing because I think at that point I've gotten it. And I will tell you that on rare occasion, when I've said, I have a listing with me, do you want to go through this page by page and sign it now? Or, for the sake of sanitizing and stuff, I'll just drop it in DocuSign and you can initial all these pages and electronically sign it because we've already been through it. Very rarely do they say to me, well, there is another agent that we've been talking to about this and they're coming over tomorrow or this or that, right? And then that's the time that I go into, do you mind if I ask you who it is? And do you mind if I ask why you're considering them? And then may I please, and then depending on what their answers are, but in the end, if they're still going to see this person, I will ask them to make good notes about what the differences are between me and them and come back to me before they sign that listing agreement. Because that other agent is also probably going to ask you to put it in DocuSign to keep it sanitary. And before you do that, please come back to me and let me know who you selected or why you're considering them, and give me an opportunity to address what the differences are in case I've left something out. And I can't imagine that I have, because I do talk so much, but I want to make sure that we've addressed all your concerns and that you're hiring the best person for the job. So if you are going to see them, and if you're not going to see them, then I'm happy to call them for you and tell them that we signed the listing agreement today, and that we will send them photos in advance and stuff so they have an opportunity to find a buyer. But rarely does that happen. Usually by the point that you're at that point with them, they're ready to sign, they're ready to go, right? Okay, the next slide is the home walkthrough. Again, you've already done a little bit of that, either in person or in FaceTime. What does this say? When you arrive to the seller's home, it's important to establish yourself as a knowledgeable professional right away. This would happen before you would get to the listing agreement. You would already have done that walkthrough. The closing the deal walkthrough is the final point of the listing appointment, is getting the seller to sign. And the closing scripts are found in the Elemental script book, and also found on page 13 of your participant guide for today. So it's asking me to ask you guys if you want to walk through that, if you want to volunteer to be the role model for the closing the deal, if you want to read that script, or do you want to just move on? Just move on?
Yes, can we move on? Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Because volunteering as a role model to close the deal with me, we're going to have to go back a couple of steps, because you don't know me as my seller. You're not really able right now to close a deal with me, because we didn't go through a role model where you're asking me the questions about why I'm moving, right? And if you want to, I can do that with one of you if you want to be the seller and have me kind of talk to you about your moving and see how we do that. Do you want to do that for a minute?
Oh, that'll be fine.
Yes, could we do that?
Sure. So who's moving? Who's my seller?
I'll move.
Cecily?
Oh,
Okay. Hi, Marius. Okay, well, we'll do a couple of them then. So, hi, Cecily. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So, it's nice to meet you. Hopefully, we can do it live in person soon. But right now, we're all being COVID compliant. So tell me why you're moving.
I have too much space where I'm at. I'm actually looking to downsize. It's just me. And I have a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And
Okay.
like I said, I'm just looking for something a little smaller.
Okay.
at this time.
I want to make a couple of notes here. So tell me a little bit about that, because if you're downsizing, where's my notepad? Here it is. So if you're downsizing, do you still need to stay with a second bedroom? You want to just downsize your square footage, or do you want to go down to like a 1-bedroom?
I would actually like to go, I would like to keep a smaller second room for guests. Again, just the floor plan that I have currently is about 1,100 square feet.
All right. So a lot of people are working from home these days. So that second room, is that also going to function as a workspace for you?
Yes, ma'am.
It will? Okay. And then I know you said that you're alone and have about 1,100 square feet. So are you in a townhome or a condo or a house? Do you have outdoor area? What does that look like for you?
Okay, so we're gonna say that it is a condo currently. And so also too, let's say with that, I've got HOA fees and things of that nature that I would like to get up from under So
Okay.
even, and also too, I would like to, right now, I am in the South Bay. I'm in South Redondo, but I'd like to kind of look for something again that's going to be a little smaller. I don't necessarily need to stay in this particular area, even maybe North Redondo, a little further inland.
Okay. All right. So we're going to look for 2 rooms, like a living area, bedroom, and then a guest room office thing. And then but we want to downsize the square footage so you don't have as much space to take care of. And then you want to also maybe uh, fix your budget a little bit and get rid of some high HOA fees and things and get
Yes.
more budget compliant. Okay. So tell me, do you have have you been pre-approved? Have you talked to a lender about how much you can spend?
Yes, or no, actually, I haven't. We'll see
Okay.
that I haven't in this particular case.
Okay, so if you haven't already started looking, a couple of things I want to talk to you with about that is we're happy to help you find a place to buy as well. But first we need to know, it's like shopping for shoes, right? We need to know how much we're able to spend, and that may not even be based on your pre-approval letter. It might be based on what you're comfortable with. You may be approved for more than what we're going to spend, but we have to know that first. So what I'm going to do when we finish talking today, because we've just met, I'm going to, I do have your address. And so I sent you kind of a preliminary market analysis of what other condos in your neighborhood have sold for. I sent that to you. I don't know if you had a chance to look over that or not, but I want to get more specific now because you can kind of walk me through your condo and I can see what upgrades or views or things you have that would add value that are not showing up in that market analysis that I sent you, so that I can do a more specific, put some adjustments in based on your actual condo and see, set a value for it so we know what we're going to sell it for. And then you need to sell before you buy, right? Or okay. So while we're doing that, it's important that you talk to a lender now and not wait until we get into escrow, because then you're going to kind of be in a rush and there is a shortage of inventory. So I want you to, if you have a credit union where you work, talk to them, talk to your bank, and then talk to a lender. And if you need a couple of referrals for lenders, I can send you those. So that they're going to shop your loan a little bit. They'll pre-qualify you. They're not going to ding your credit report by pulling your credit every time. And you might want to just pull a report to send to them so that we can get pre-qualified, so that you know how much you have to spend and we can start shopping. Now, there are companies who will help you buy before you sell, and then you buy it from them, right? So they help you buy a condo, you move into your new place, and then when you sell your place, you transfer the deed and the title and buy it back from them. It's a little bit complicated, but it's not as hard as I'm making it sound. It's just that it's kind of a new thing, and I can send you, you can talk to those guys. But for right now, we want to know how much you're qualified to spend. If we try to shop for a place for you to live, a seller is not going to accept your offer if it's contingent on the sale of your property.
Okay.
Because they're getting too many offers right now. So if a seller is going to get a seller like you, they want to move, they want to downsize, they want to get their budget under control, and they get 4 or 5 offers, they're going to want to look at, and if they have especially a good agent, is going to tell them only consider these 4, because these 2, one of them's not pre-approved yet, and the other one needs to sell their place before they can buy, and we don't have any guarantees how long that's going to take. So only look at these 4 buyers who can close escrow right away. So I'm going to help you get that in line, so that as we're presenting offers, I don't want you to start looking at things and fall in love with something and then not be able to compete on the buy side because we don't have your file in order. So we'll start with that at the same time we're starting on getting your home marketed. So when I sent you the market analysis, which is not specific to your condo, it's based on other things in the neighborhood that sold. And when an appraiser is going to come in and appraise, when you have a buyer, they're going to look specifically at units in your building. They don't like to look at units in another community unless they unless nothing has sold in your building recently. They don't like to go down the street. They like to compare apples to apples, but if they have to, they will. So I want to get specific with you. We're going to walk through your place and I can take a look at any upgrades that you've made and what your views are so that I can, after we talk today, send you a much more specific analysis of what we think your property should list for. And these days I recommend that we get competitive with our listing price because there are so many buyers out there and there are cash buyers out there, which would be good for you since you need to sell before you buy to have the cash, even though a loan is just like cash, right? If they're pre-qualified and they're getting the loan, it's all the same to you. It's money in your account. But I want to get competitive with the prices so that you get as many offers as possible. And sometimes the highest offer isn't the best offer. So we take all of the offers. In a market like this, we typically put into the multiple listing service that the seller will consider all offers on Tuesday, January the 15th, or Saturday, January the 14th, or whatever it is, so that they know the 3 days in the contract when they write an offer to purchase, that offer expires in 3 days if they haven't heard from you. But that's so that the buyers can move on. That protects the buyers, right? So we always put in there that you're not going to hear from us in 3 days. We're going to give it a week. We'll review all the offers, and then we'll get back to you either with counters or accept an offer, right? So we put that into the MLS because my job is to get as much exposure to your property as we can and get as many interested buyers as we can and get it bid up. Sometimes, especially if someone needs to sell theirs before they buy, they will offer you a really high price because their offer is contingent on them selling their place. And they're hoping you'll be attracted by the really high price. But I don't want to get you into an escrow like that may fall out because they can't sell their place, right? So we take all the offers, we'll send them to you as they come in, because I don't expect you to sit down on a Saturday and review 5 or 6 offers and make a decision. We send them to you as they come in with highlighting each point. There's like 10 categories that we look at. We look at how much they offered, the price that they offered, how much they have down, when the length of their escrow is. So we have an Excel spreadsheet. And again, if you guys want to email me or text me, I'll send this to you. But we have an Excel sheet that says who the buyer is, who their agent is, what their purchase price offer is, how much they have down, if it's a cash offer, if they're getting a loan, if they're asking for termite, if they remove the appraisal. It's all an Excel sheet of the highlights of the offers. So as we send you each offer, we're going to enter all that detail on an Excel sheet. And as we move through the process every day, we'll also send you the Excel sheet. So if you don't want to read all the way through the offer yet, the terms are as important to us that we get good terms for you as we do price. So that's our system. That's how that works, so that there's not a lot of agents that do that. But we want to make sure that exactly what everybody's offering and what their terms are, so that we get the best price and the terms for you. Okay. And then I don't want to overwhelm you with all of that right now. I've said a lot, and there's a lot to think about, and I'll follow up with all of that. And what is your email, Cecily?
The email is cdstokes1@gmail.com.
So you and I are going to kind of walk through now so that I can see what your upgrades are. And I'm going to send you a more custom made opinion on what the listing price should be. I will send you more information about the lenders that you should talk to, or some people you can talk to about pre-qualing. I will send you how we plan to market your home when you sign the listing agreement. And I'll enclose a listing agreement too, so you can read through it and see if you have any questions on any of it's a lot. It's, 14 or 15 pages. And I don't want to just put that into DocuSign for you to sign electronically. I want you to be able to read it first and see if you have any questions and highlight those so that we've answered all of those. Because typically anymore, we're not exchanging papers. because of the sanitation stuff. We're not doing it in person, we're doing it electronically. So I want to make sure you have it first, that you can print out or read through and make notes and ask questions. And then we'll put it into DocuSign for you to sign, okay? So I'll send you a more customized market analysis on price. I'll send you a more customized marketing plan. What I sent you in the pre-listing this morning was in general how we market and where we market, but every property is different. So I'll customize it for you as to what day you sign the listing agreement. We will schedule the photographers to come the next day, and they're COVID compliant, and they do a video walkthrough, because we don't want buyers coming through in person that haven't done a video walkthrough and seen all of the photos. So they'll do both of those, two different types of photography, a walkthrough and the still photography. And then we do, if it's okay with you, and you can be gone one day, we'll come through with our FaceTime and Zoom cameras, and we will personally do like an open house. And we do that live on Facebook. And we just walk through the house and do like an open house. So they have the actual professional photography of the tour, still photography, and then they have our live open house, which stays on Facebook. It stays on our Facebook page and in Zoom too. So, and then once it's in the MLS, it's going to take 48 to 72 hours to feed out to all of the other platforms like Realtor.com and Zillow and Redfin and all of that. So we'll start getting some feedback within 24 hours, most especially from agents who already have buyers in your neighborhood. But it's going to really take about 5 or 6 days to make sure that we've saturated all the opportunities to get exposed to all of the potential buyers. Okay.
Okay.
Now, do you have questions for me?
So when you do this virtual tour, when you do the open house, how long will that take if you would need me to be out of the space?
For 1,100 square feet, it won't take more than 30 to 45 minutes, probably an hour for you to be away, because we're going to want to come in and make sure the lighting's right, get all the lights on, get, window treatments open, make sure that it's been decluttered. Sometimes people forget and leave a towel hang out or a toilet seat up or something like that. So we need 10 to 15 minutes to walk through and make sure everything is in good order. And then we need 10 or 15 minutes to walk through. And then we have to sanitize before we leave. So we have microfiber cloths that don't have strong alcohol or Clorox on them. So if you have sensitive countertops, it won't bother your countertops. So we have spray sanitizer. We will vacuum, and we will have our booties and our gloves and our mask and everything on. But we still have to wipe down the doorknobs and all of that before we leave. So it'll take us about 45 minutes, but plan on an hour.
Okay.
So you can let us in, and you can show us how to lock up, or we can text you when we're leaving so that you're back there to lock up for us, because we don't need a key at that time. We need a key when you actually are gonna. Well, actually, we will, because you would have signed the listing agreement by then. So we'll need a key, but we don't put lock boxes on. And typically we don't put signs up unless our sellers are in a hurry to sell right now, because we don't want people some agents tend to just let themselves in, and we want to be shown by appointment to make sure that all the sanitation measures are done, because we have to sanitize before someone comes in and then after they leave. So one of us, myself or Jennifer or Christy, someone from my team will be there every time it's shown so that you can step out. So I will need a key at that time. So we kind of got into, this is now over, because I kind of got carried away with that, because I kept assuming the listing. So my initial consultation with her to get her checklist of what she needs and when she needs to go and what she needs to buy, and I got through all of that, I just moved right on into kind of a pre-listing package too, and assuming, that because she led me in that direction and gave me the opportunity to open that window. So Marius, you want to be a seller?
Thank you.
You did such a thorough, comprehensive assumption of the sale, which led to the provision of all necessary pertinent detail that I can imagine. I don't know that you left anything out, so I'm not sure what I could add to the conversation within
Okay,
any scenario that I could imagine.
okay, all right, that's good. Yolanda?
Um, yeah, it was very thorough. I really appreciate you doing that. I would like to see what it looks like with upscaling. For example, if we could probably role play that, I would like to participate with that presentation with you, if we can do that.
In preparing for the sale?
Yes. So, like for myself, I would say that I have property I want to put on the market, sell it. I want to purchase something else. Of course, I have equity in my property, but I want something larger. I'm in a 2 bedroom, 2 bath. However, I need an extra room space for office, with the whole change and everything with COVID. I'm working from home. I need a dedicated space just for office purposes.
Okay. So as Yolanda and I go through this, you guys are going to hear some different things because there's some things I forgot to ask Cecily. So you'll hear some different things too. And all of this is on the checklist. But so let's start there. So you want more space and a designated office area when you move. Is that
Correct.
why you're moving? Is that specifically why you're moving?
That's exactly why I'm moving. I need more square footage. It's just imperative that I have. I'm like running into walls, so I need to
Okay.
really.
Oh,
I need
oh,
more
oh.
square footage.
How many people? How many people are in your household?
Just two.
Okay. So when do you have a timeline? Do you have a deadline? Do you know when you want to move?
I'm looking at sometime mid-year, so mid part of this year.
Okay. Do you need to sell your place now before you buy? Or will you be buying before you sell?
I think what I'll be doing is actually I'm gonna have to go ahead and just put it up for sale and then look for something else. So yeah.
Okay. If you find something else, are you going to be able to buy it? Or do you need the equity out of your current property to buy it?
I would need the equity out of my current property to buy
Okay.
it.
Okay. So are there, so tell me about your house. Tell me about what you're selling. If how long have you lived there?
Sure. So I live in a 2 bedroom, 2 bath condo in a gated community. So it has a lot of different, pool, tennis courts, and all that great stuff. I've been in the property for about 20 years. And so maintain it. I'm like the second property owner for it. And so it's been great. I got in here because of safety reasons and just wanting a place of peace. And so that's why I chose the community. The HOA fees, they've gone up a little bit. Um, Not where it's just like outlandish, but for me, I just need more square footage. I can't stress it enough. I need more space. I'm looking at where can I run my office? Where can I do my Zoom meetings? And I'm literally looking for every inch in my house. Like, where can I set up
Yeah.
a Zoom
Well,
meeting?
and I'm happy to help represent you with that on the buy side and find something that's going to meet your needs. We can start looking on that. But coming back to getting your house listed, um, so all of the exterior, which community are you in? Is it a property that I know?
Carlton Square.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
okay, good. So the outside then, the amenities and everything over there are very well taken care of. The stuff that's the HOA responsibility is impressive curb appeal and will be great amenities and benefits to a buyer. Tell me about the inside of your home, and I'm not talking, I'm not meaning to offend housekeeping skills or anything. I'm just asking about what you need to do inside to prepare for the sale. Are you going to need to paint? Have you done upgrades? Tell me about your kitchens, your bathrooms, kind of what those, we can walk through it and I can see it, but what do you think you need to do in order to put the market up, put the house up on the market and have the photographers come through?
Sure. I think what I definitely need to do is paint. So painting is required. There is carpet in the floor, so nobody's dealing with carpet anymore. So that I need to pull up as well. I did have some triple pane windows installed last year because of the airplanes that fly through. So that's a plus. Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a major plus. I do have to replace maybe some of the appliances. The dishwasher is pretty old. So is the stove. So stuff like that, I would replace the air conditioner unit. That's pretty old. So that needs to be replaced too. The cabinets have been resurfaced, but they're in great condition. I would say great condition. It's not a lot with upkeep. It's just a few
Okay.
things. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you a couple of questions then, because you touched on a couple of major points with the buyer. Before COVID, we were seeing a lot of people who watched too much do-it-yourself TV, and that everybody wanted to buy either a flip, whether they were going to live in it, or flip it. They were looking for fixer-uppers, and now we're finding people that are looking for things that are more turnkey and ready to go. So, so if your appliances are 8 to 10 years old, I would recommend new ones. And if you have carpet, you definitely need to redo the flooring because everybody's afraid of allergies and bacteria and germs. And we can help, make some suggestions with vinyl plank or what you want to do there. And the AC unit you mentioned, and that is, so each of the units there have their own air conditioning compressor and stuff. So if that needs to be replaced, because these are all the things that an inspector is going to look at, right?
Yes.
And the light switches near any light switches in the kitchen or the bathroom need to have the GFCI grounding so that the kickoff of water enters them. They're going to look underneath the sinks for plumbing leaks or mold or mildew. We're going to want to get rid of all of that. As long as you're painting, we want to make sure that there's no evidence of any water leaks or intrusion. The good news is, in most cases in condos, the HOA would have taken care of that, but under sinks is critical. A lot of times, especially if it's a wood cabinet, the floor of that wood cabinet starts to bow and warp and rot. And I'm not saying that yours are. Don't be offended, please. I'm just mentioning what inspectors look for.
Right.
So that's their job, is to call that stuff out to the buyers, and we want to take care of all of that. Two things I would recommend is, one, getting an inspection. That's going to cost you about $300. The HOA stuff we don't have to worry about, but I would recommend getting an inspection so that we know what needs to be addressed. Do you have your own hot water heater, or is there a central hot water tank?
I have my own attached in a separate storage area.
Okay, so an inspector is going to look at the hot water heater. They're going to look at the plumbing. They're going to look at the electrical, everything that is contained inside the condo. Anything that's governed by the HOA, they're not going to concern themselves with. But and they charge by the square foot to do the inspections. So a 2-bedroom condo should be around $300. Have a great inspector, and then we can look at that list and decide what you're going to want to fix first, or any health and safety issues, like electrical switches or any of that stuff, or plumbing leaks, and then the paint and stuff. So are you able to budget that, or there are companies that can help you do some of that? First, I think we'll get the inspection and see what the extent of work is. And then if you need some help, there are some contractors who will come in and do the work and then put a lien on the property so that they get paid when escrow closes. So know that that's an option too. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed when you pay $300 for this inspection and he comes back and says, the fireplace doesn't work. That's a $1,600 fix probably. We have that happen in some condos where the whole unit needs to be pulled out and replaced. So I don't want you to feel overwhelmed when we do get the inspection report. You can decide what you can afford to do. And then if you need some help, there are other options of people that can help you. And they don't overcharge, and they don't charge over interest and all that stuff. They just send their bill to escrow and put a lien on the property, a mechanic's lien, so they're paid when escrow closes. So is there a time that, I don't know if you're comfortable with me coming over with all of our gear, we have all of our sanitized gear that we could come over that I can walk through, or do you want to just walk through with FaceTime and show it to me yourself? What do you want to do?
Let me use FaceTime. I'm really comfortable
Okay.
with using that, and then I can just do the walkthrough with you.
Okay, so we'll do the FaceTime walkthrough so I can get an idea of what upgrades have been done and what your views are, so I can send you a more specific analysis of what we think it'll sell for. And then the rest of what I'm going to say right now is everything I said to Cecily, so we'll just stop right there. You're good?
Good.
Okay. What else? It says we're supposed to reflect on what we've learned. I don't know. Marius already gave us his reflection, and I appreciate that. Thanks for the good input, because every time I teach Ignite, somebody goes back to Simon or to Sonia and says, well, I don't know if we talked about everything because she talked so much about other stuff. And then other people are like, no, we like that you added all the personal stuff of what's happening. So, so some people love it, some people hate it, and it is what it is.
No, you did a good job blending the two. Your personal experience and hands-on reality in our COVID impacted time.
Thank you. I that's how I learn, and I appreciated hearing personal experiences from people on, so that I kind of knew what to expect as I was building my residential business. But I also know that I digress and go off over here somewhere sometimes and don't come back to the content. And there are some people that are very content focused. But I've taught this so many times, I feel like we hit on all of the strong points. This page here says the ahas to achievement is, has your thinking changed about your listing appointments from when we first met a couple hours ago to now? Are you seeing that whole thing a little bit differently, or is it exactly what you expected?
Yeah,
A lot
no,
more
you
clear.
were.
Yeah.
Very, thank you.
Okay.
And it's also too, it's difficult because, you know, when I don't know about everybody else, but when I'm a new agent, and when I started, you know, this idea of doing real estate, you know, COVID wasn't a thing. And so it's difficult to try to navigate how to do this thing again, you know, from, you know, my dining room table. And
Yes.
so you have covered so much, and it was in such real time, you know, about what's occurring, that it was so thorough that even, you know, the forms that they give us, the printouts are outdated, you know, so even staying focused on that material isn't really serving us. So no, thank
Right.
you so much. I'm so glad I did this. Thank you.
Yeah, the thing, you're welcome. And I appreciate that feedback, because the thing is that this was all just rewritten, and there's new forms and there's new flyers, and it goes back to what I said when we originally started talking. It changes every day, right? And so there's a confidence level in that, and being able to say, I don't know, because things change every day around here, you know, so let me talk to my broker and get a clear understanding of this, or let me do this or that. So you have the confidence in being able to say that. The one thing that I just thought of, Cecily, when you said that, is the working from your dining room table. And truly, we've spent the last 10 months, and we, you know, we had the luxury of being able to keep our coaches, you know, through the end of the year. And I had to fire one of them because she was coaching to the same old stuff. And I'm like, we can't do open houses. I know how to leverage an open house. I know how to meet buyers and sellers I need a new level of coaching, right?
Right.
And she, of course, had the same response that we have to our clients. Is like, we're doing it as fast as we can, but we don't know what's going to work yet, right? But then we stepped outside of real estate and hired a coach that coaches, and it was just for a couple of months, but it gave me the perspective that I needed. We hired a coach that coaches people who are building multi-level marketing companies and direct sales retail companies, right?
Right.
Because it all came back to me 16 years ago when I started at KW. Actually, it was probably 14 years ago. I'd been with them a couple of years. We had an agent in our office who joined our office, lived in Carson, really nice man, single dad, and he's blind. And everybody wanted to help him build his business. he would sit through, we didn't have Ignite then, we had what was called 441 or something, 334 or something, I don't know. Three listings, 3 sales in 3 months, I don't, something like that. It has evolved into Ignite. Everybody wanted to help him and help him figure it out. And he was doing a lot of it from his computer at home because he had his TDY set up, or no, that's for non-hearing, whatever he needed, Braille and everything for his vision. But our team leader at the time was a lady named Kay Grenning. She has since moved back to Oregon and become an agent. She's a great friend of Linda Hayden's. She's an amazing woman. But she wanted to help promote his business too. And she talked to the Daily Breeze about maybe doing an article on this blind real estate agent. And he was out door knocking. He was doing all of the stuff that sighted people do. But I'll never forget when the reporter for the Daily Breeze said to him, "This is amazing that you're adapting your techniques and what you do based on what has proven to work for other agents," right? So what is the hardest part of door knocking? Because a lot of agents are reluctant to do it, you know. What is the hardest part of door knocking for you? And he said, finding the door. And I thought that was hilarious. And I've never forgotten it. And it was so obvious, right? He's a great guy. And he ended up moving somewhere else where he had more help with his daughter. But that answer to me, that finding the door, just came back to my mind when COVID happened and we couldn't leverage our open houses and do the stuff. So, you know, what's the hardest part of your job, right? And basically it's finding the door, how to get in. So I hear what you're saying, and everything that everybody was teaching was still the same old stuff. And we had to make changes. And that's when we learned to meet somebody on Facebook and look somebody up on Facebook and friend them on Facebook, and start with Twilio in command. I spend probably 8 hours on any holiday sending text through my phone to people in my sphere of influence, even though I copy and paste, and even though the message has changed, it's right. Still a greeting. It's still a happy holidays or a happy new year or enjoy your Easter weekend, or it all starts now with, I hope you're feeling well and the family's good. Let me know if you need anything. And then into the message. Copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste, and send it for, 2 hours if I'm on a plane going to Texas, and then 2 hours home. And it's 8 or 10 hours to get text out to all my sphere. And now with Twilio and Command, I put all their phone numbers in there and they all go at once. It took 30 minutes. I know. So the technology is there to keep us in touch, and we just have to, and thank God for Gary Keller and his vision to understand even before COVID that we needed that kind of technology because it's not what we do. I'm not an IT guy, right. and I can't afford to hire an IT guy, and I don't have that kind of time. My expertise is relationship building and getting to know people and finding out what they need and how I can help them. But unless I can talk to them, I can't. And all of this stuff in Command has helped me touch them faster and stay in touch better so that we can do what we do best.
Let's get back to our basic model. It's prospecting based, marketing enhanced in relation to the IT
Exactly.
sphere.
Exactly. And it's just staying with that and knowing that it works and being persistent. You can't do it for a week and decide it's not working. It takes 3 or 4 months to really, get it down and get it clicking and get people engaged so that you start getting some response. Okay, so we talked about those ahas. We talked about how your thinking is different, how your behavior will be different. We talked about tools and models. And the next slide is the goals to set your career on fire. Adding 10 contacts, having 10 conversations a day, sending 10 handwritten notes, and previewing 10 homes a week. So previewing 10 homes a week, we used to do that in person at open houses. Now we do it on the MLS. My team, we made this daily. It doesn't say, this slide says its goals to set your career on fire is to add 10 contacts, have 10 conversations, write 10 notes, preview 10 homes per week. But we do that every day. So we do 50. Each person on my team, those 10 steps of 10 contacts added a day, 10 conversations a day, 10 handwritten notes a day, and 10 home previews per week. We do that every day. So so that at the end of the week they have 50, and that's, you can see I'm in my home office right now, but I have my dry erase calendar up, you know, with the 10 conversations I have to have. My personal goal is 20 a day. So I make about 400 phone calls a day in order to actually talk to 20 people. It takes me 3 hours to do that. And I have a dialer because no one answers their phones anymore. I have to leave messages. My sphere of influence, if I'm calling people in my phone, you know, they will answer and talk to me usually, but that's 50 people. I can't call the same 50 people every week and try to prospect them. I need new people to talk to. So we set this goal a little bit higher for us. And I had the good fortune when I first joined Keller Williams, Diana Kokoska was just starting to write the Mega Agent Productivity Systems, which is the MAPS coaching. She was just starting to write all of that. And that's what Bold developed from. And as that got stale, they've brought that back to life in new and creative ways. But at the time, I had the ability to coach personally with Diana. There were 6 of us, because she's in Austin, and she would coach 6 people at a time, and we'd get on a phone once a week with her on a Friday, and we'd talk about these goals. You know, how many people did you talk to? What was the conversations like? And I had just moved over to KW from commercial, and in commercial real estate, I worked, you know, I was one of the few females in that field, and guys function differently, and they're more tenacious and they're more on point, and they're, you know, for the most part, we're more nurturing and can be a little more shy sometimes about getting in somebody's face. I got over it because I was on commission and had to make a living. I learned to do it. But when I coached with Diana, I was used to that world, is why I brought that up. And I was used to that very, you know, matter of fact thing. And so when I was coaching with Diana, the thing was, on our Friday calls, she would give us an assignment to do, to, you know, knock on the doors of 20 houses before next week and figure out what your conversations were like to try to find somebody that needs to sell. She was very specific about our assignments. And whatever they were, when we got off the phone with her, she would say, now double it, because you're probably not going to hit your goal. You probably think that 80% is okay or something. So whatever your goal is, double it. Whatever your financial goal for the year is, double it. And then on Thursdays, fax your results. This is how long ago it was. Fax your homework to me that you did knock on 20 doors, or you did knock on 40 doors, and you did talk to 14 people. Here's your report. You fax that to my office by 4 o'clock on Thursday afternoon, so that I have time to review it and we can speak to it when we have our coaching call on Friday. And so like the second week, I didn't quite get mine done. And in the conversations about the results that people were having that week from their homework, I interrupted and said, Diana, hi, this is Michele Brown in the South Bay part of Los Angeles. And I just want to highlight on what Cecily said, because this is what happened to me. And she said, Michele, I'm glad you're able to join us this week, but you didn't turn your homework in. So you can listen, but you don't get to speak. Mm-hmm. Because it's one of the Bold laws. It's how you show up in here is how you show up out there. So when you're ready to do the work, you can participate. But for today, you just get to listen. And I was like, oh. So from that moment on, I've been real specific about doubling the goals and paying attention and having the conversations. And the more you have, the easier it gets. And, you know, that's Gary Nix is a dear friend of mine. Gary Nix, you know, has 3 children at home. His wife's an RN. She's working at the hospital. His youngest daughter is paralyzed from a cheerleading accident and in a wheelchair. And Gary has 21 escrows, you guys, right now, because he's on the phone all day. His daughter has been in the hospital for a week with her anemia issue. And once he went in with her, they don't let her stay alone because of the paralysis. But once he's in, he couldn't leave. He had to stay with her because of all the COVID stuff and in quarantine and stuff. So he was there in the hospital for 8 days. We have a miracle morning call every morning at 7 o'clock if you want to join us. It's a 6-minute call. We create an affirmation for that day and we're off, right? Gary was on that call every morning from the hospital, sometimes in his robe. And he was prospecting his 3 hours a day, making his phone calls on his laptop in his daughter's hospital room. So that's how you end up with 21 escrows, right? Is that you gotta. If it's to be, it's up to me. So I have to go now too, because I have a team meeting at 12 o'clock and I need a break before that. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I hope you guys learned something and know that I'm here for you. You have my contact information. If there's anything that you need, let me know. And join us at 7 in the morning for our affirmation. It's only a 6-minute call. And it's on that thing, that calendar that Hollins has us, 7 a.m. Just click on that Zoom. You good?
Good. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you,
Michelle.
All right.
Thank
Bye,
you.
you guys.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
It was fun. Bye-bye.
Bye.